Independence by any by the purest sense of the word. They got a couple good ball players. According to George Jeck, they are a team of very, very good character. Their record so far this year is 2 victories, 1 defeat, and they haven't given up a touchdown yet on the ground. They were hurt last week by having about 5 touchdowns completed on them, but they're still tough on the ground. Today, they've got their 2 running backs injured. That's Stranahan and Cipollini. Cipollini leads Salem County with having scored 7 touchdowns so far this year. The absence of those 2 runners will certainly hamper their attack. They don't have a real huge team, but they've got a little bit of size. They got an experienced team. This is Coach Gatana's second year there, and he's been doing a good job of building a good program at St. James. Toms River East, this is their 3rd ball game also. They're 1-1. They lost to Madison Borough last week, but they got their season off to a real good start with a victory over Lower Cape May in their opening game. They're a new team. They got a couple good ball players. I've seen them in scrimmages this year. I like Jimmy Verderosa. Jimmy Verderosa, I believe he's number 85. He's a sophomore. He plays tight end and defensive tackle, and he does a fine job for him. He's an excellent all-around athlete. We saw him in our South Towns River Home Run Derby this year, and he can really hit a ball for a sophomore. They're still learning. They suffered a tough setback last week, but they've got to suck it up and learn to play with the big boys. They got a good turnout. Offensively, we can see about 6 different formations for the Raiders. They'll go pro set, they'll go slot, they'll go tight slot, they'll go any variations of a wing tee, a lot of the things that George Jeck brought with him from Bricktown. They basically, defensively, they'll start off in a 4-4, which is a conventional defense known to most people around here, but George might throw that old 5-2 in from the Warren Wolf days with his exposure to the Green Dragons program. And I think it'll be an interesting ball game. I think that Toms River East has a little bit of an edge here as far as size of the coaching staff. I think is very, very instrumental, and they can reach more of the boys at any given time of the day during a practice. And I see a first home game win coming up for the Raiders of Toms River East, Ken. Let's take a look at those defenders right here, okay?
All right, the starting defensive lineup from the Toms River East Raiders for the first opening game.
Dave Morris, Jr., defensive end. John Machiarelli, Jr., defensive tackle. Dave Anderson, Jr., defensive end. Jim Verderosa, sophomore, defensive tackle.
Jim McIntyre, Jr., outside linebacker.
Jim Mcgarry, Jr., outside linebacker.
Schiavo, sophomore, middle linebacker.
Mark Schiavo, Jr., middle linebacker.
Mark Amir, Jr., defensive halfback.
Bob Scott, Jr., safety.
Jay Slevin, Jr., defensive halfback.
Here is Ed Sarluca, defensive coordinator for the Toms River East Raiders. Eddie, are they healthy?
Yes, we're very healthy. We're looking for a good ball game out of them. It's a big game for us. We know they came a long way, and they didn't come down here to lose. So we're looking for a tough, hard-hitting game. They're quick. They're not that big, but they're quick.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Ed. Good luck today.
Thank you.
All right, Staj, there they are, and looking very similar to the Oakland Raiders. Maybe not quite as big as the Oakland Raiders, but I understand they are a tough unit.
Yeah, they can play football. They're, as I said, a lot of these boys, well, I see Slevin over there. He has varsity experience last year at Toms River North. I see Machiarelli. Machiarelli is a tremendous asset for the Raiders this year. He's a place kicker, he's a punter, and here's a fine example of 2 guys who started, who have varsity experience for River North and Toms River South, respectively, who can contribute right away on our city level for Toms River East.
And as you were quick to point out, St. James is so slouched, holding a 2-1 record, but they're hurting a little bit. I guess we'll have a good ball game here today.
Well, I expect one. I'm sure the fans will be very, very pleased today.
And Stas should be right back with the opening kickoff of this first home game of the Toms River East Raiders. Welcome to Toms River East Raiders' first home football game, hosting against St. James. This game is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River, with 22 branches and routes in Ocean County. House of Paneling, Route 9, Bayville. Carter Rug Sales and Service, and they're on Highway 88 in Warrenton. Office Copy Center, Old Freehold Road, Toms River. Lowry Organ Center in the Ocean County Mall, Toms River. Bayshore Electric, Beach Boulevard, that's in Beechwood. Wallach Sport and Leisure Center, Route 37 West, Toms River. And Perkins Pancake and Steakhouse, they're on Route 37 East in Toms River. I'm Ken Leake along with Stan Pokrivka, and this, as I said, is the first home game of the Raiders of Toms River East, the newest football team, a new school in Dover Township. And here for your play-by-play, let me turn the mic over to Big Stosh, Stan Pokrivka.
Thank you, Ken. The pre-game ceremonies today are honoring several members who chosen by the Toms River East football team who have contributed toward the formulation of the athletic and academic program at Toms River East. While those introductions are going underway there, let me just give you the possible starting lineups for both teams. Let's introduce both offenses. You took a look at Toms River East's defense on the pregame introductions. Let's start off with the offensive unit for St. James. At center, we'll have co-captain Mike Flamini. He's number 51 and he's a senior. At right guard, we'll have Richard Newton, number 64, also a senior. At left guard, we'll have number 55, Vince Shoppy. At right tackle, we'll have Dennis Scott, number 66. He's a junior. At left tackle, we'll have Joe Spall, number 74. At the ends, we have number 47, Frank Thorpe. He's a senior. Bob Weichman, number 86, is a junior. In the backfield, we have number 11, Bob Wilgus. He's a senior. The running backs will be Mike LaRosa. He's a sophomore, number 32. Number 21, Giulio Ferretti. And Mike Horner, number 22, senior co-captain. For the Raiders, on offense, number 54, John Machiarelli will start at center. Chuck Sigler, number 66, will be on at one guard, and the other guard will see Dave Anderson, number 60, and Mark Chavone, number 51. The tackles will see number 74, Ken Hooper, and number 55, Walt Kondracki. The ends will be Joe Slevin, number 42, at one end, and the other end will see number 85, Jimmy Verderosa, alternating with Dave Morris, number 87. The wide receiver will see number 40, Mark Amir, and number 21, Sal Chiarella. At quarterback, Nick Arminio will start. He'll be number 7. At the running backs, we'll see number 30, Jim McIntyre. And at the other running back spot, we'll see Al Chevrier, number 34, and Vince Gearity, number 24, alternating at that spot. There's the defensive unit being introduced on your screen right here. A lot of these players are two-way performers for George Jeck's Raiders. A situation not uncommon in the area. Ken?
You're right, Stosh, and especially in a situation here where you have sophomores and juniors playing, there's no seniors at Toms River East. I think we might mention also that if this field looks familiar, that's because we're at Toms River North. The East field is not ready. It will be ready for play next year, but right now this field is going to get a lot of use between the big Toms River North team and this Toms River East Raiders.
The co-captains in the center of the field waiting the toss of the coin. I didn't say cost of the twin this time, Ken. For the Raiders are Mark Amir, number 40, and Joe Slevin, number 42. For St. James, the co-captains are Mike Flamini, number 51, and Mike Horner, number 22. They see the historical toss of the coin here at the opening home game for the Raiders of Toms River East.
Stosh, we've been doing football games, I guess, for some 7 years at Clear TV Channel 8. And what I find interesting about today is this is the first time we can say that we're going to be following a football team from their first home game. We always followed Central, Toms River, North, South. We've done St. Joe's games, but here's a situation where we're going to watch a program build right from the start.
All right, while we're getting the pre-game, I think Toms River East has won the toss. I don't know why there might be a commemorative coin involved over here. And you'll see something unusual happen following the opening kickoff of the game, but we'll bring you that as it occurs. We don't want to preempt that part of the opening home game ceremonies today. I'd like to mention right now that the concession stands operated at each football game are sponsored by the Towns River Education Association Scholarship Fund, headed by Judy Weppert from High School North, Ken McDonald from High School East, and Bob Lewis from High School South. Each game, the teachers and their children volunteers their free time to work these stands. The proceeds are given as a scholarship to students, past and present, of the Towns River school system. They'd like to thank the Board of Education for their continuing support and also the tremendous support from the public.
Stosh, there's really not much I could add to that. I agree with you 100%. Getting back to this football game, you had mentioned in the pregame that we're going to see a lot of different offenses from these Raiders. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the formations we're going to see.
Well, George Jeck is an offensive-oriented head coach. His conventional formation will be from a wing tee both left and right. He'll also go pro set left and right. He will also split his end and bring that wing back just off the tackle. That's one of his formations. He'll go left and right with that. And I wouldn't be surprised if George runs from a full house backfield, just to keep him honest. And in talking to head coach Rich Gatana from St. James, injuries have forced him to use a full house backfield, as strange as this may seem. He has injuries to Cipollini, who was the leading scorer in Salem County, and he's also got Stranahan injured. So I don't think that we're going to see either of those two fellas perform today. It'll be a surprise if they do. The kickoff responsibilities for St. James will be allocated to Bob Walters, number 77. Bob is a sophomore, I believe. Let's see how he puts his foot into the ball. The first game is open. Deep is number 30 running the ball up for East. Doesn't find too much running room, but brings it out to near the 30-yard line. Number 30 bringing that ball up for Towns River East was McIntyre.
And he went right up the middle, good gutsy kid. I like that kind of run. The wedge was there, just a couple of people broke it up. Right now what you're looking at is the ball. The game ball is going to be presented to the superintendent of schools of the Towns River Regional Board of Education, Mr. Hammond. And this is honorary first game ball of Towns River East School. And Mr. Lundy, the athletic director from Towns River East, is presenting the ball, as that's the reason for the holdup in the action, as you can see there.
A very, very happy Mr. Maurice Hammond does a fine job as the superintendent here. All right, so McIntyre brought the ball out to about the 30-yard line, where it'll be first and 10 to go for the Raiders. Machiarelli leads them out. Slevin will be the end to the left. We've got McIntyre and I believe that's Chevrier in there. A pickup of about 5 yards. Chevrier carrying the ball. Oh, I'm sorry, that was McIntyre. We'll get a few moments to get accustomed to our new team in town.
McIntyre did a good run. It was a split backfield. He was really lined up over the guard, and there was a big hole on the right side. It was a good blocking up front, and that's what made that play go. Very fine blocking, a big hole.
Well, we've got Vince Garrity as one of the running backs. We've got a wing right formation. Garrity gets the call. He's got himself a first down, pick up about 6 on the play. Garrity takes it off right tackle, finding running room over there. It'll be a first down for the Raiders.
The athletic director, Mr. Lundy, told me before the game that they're a very solid team, and I always believe solid teams start with an offensive line. I can tell you on those first 2 plays, the right side of the offensive line of Towns River East did their job.
Blockers over there, Chuck Sigler, Ken Hooper, and Jimmy Verderosa. Got an I formation, deep I, pitch goes back to Garrity. Garrity doesn't find as much room over there this time. He's stopped right on top of the 45-yard line after a pickup of about 1.5 yards, 2 yards on the play.
Sasha, it was good defense in that play. I don't know whether from here I couldn't really tell whether the blocking broke down or whether the hole was just filled well, but at any rate, it was a good defensive play, and that'll bring up second down, and I guess about 7, huh, Stash?
That's what it looks like. In on that tackle was Richard Newton, number 64, the right inside linebacker, who's a two-way performer for St. James. Slevin is in motion, a little bit of a foul up on the call, and the Raiders call time.
Stosh, it appeared as though maybe they were not lined up where they were supposed to be. That motion seemed a little early, as if maybe he was in the wrong spot, actually, and should have been coming across, should have been on the other side. But it was appeared from here to be a split backfield with a wing left.
With timeout on the field, let me go over that defensive alignment for St. James. At middle guard, we got Dennis Scott, number 66. We should see a lot of action from him. There you see the St. James huddle with their head coach giving them instructions there. At the tackles, we have Mike Flamini, another two-way performer, number 51. John Zappala, a defensive specialist, will be at right tackle, number 76. He's a senior. Mike Horner, number 22, he'll be at the right defensive end, and Bob Weichman, number 86, will be at the left defensive end. So that's the defensive alignment for St. James. All right, there we have Arminio rolling to his right. Good hit coming up very, very strongly. We have the monster man, Joe Cassidy, on that tackle, number 40. He's a freshman for that defensive unit.
Stosh, this time they showed us an I formation with a flanker right and a split end right, and everyone was covered. It was good defense by St. James, and of course quarterback running the ball, not for very much yardage. We're going to see the first real passing situation, third down, and long yardage.
We got a slot left formation. The wide receiver on that side is Chiarella, Sal Chiarella, he's a slot man, and Slevin is the wide man. Arminio, a little bit of slipping and sliding over there. He's brought down there by Mike Flamini, number 51, who penetrated that cup and threw him for a loss.
Again, there was good defensive penetration, as you mentioned. Also good coverage on the secondary. Just a very brief comment. The Raiders look like Oakland in their colors, and they show formations like Dallas.
All right, this is a punting situation for the Raiders of Toms River East. Snapping the ball back will be Mark Schiavo, and their punter will be John Machiarelli. Deep for St. James is number 85, one of the defensive back, that's Steve Nastasi. Machiarelli gets up a decent kick. It'll be fielded by Nastasi on about his 25. Picks a hole in there, picked up of about 7 yards, returns it to about the 35-yard line. It'll be first and 10 to go for St. James.
I'd like to remind you this first quarter is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River, with 22 branches and roots in Ocean County. Also being brought to you by the House of Paneling, Route 9, Bayville, and Carter Rug Sales and Service, Route 88, Laurelton.
So St. James sends a slot left formation at us here. We've got Ferretti in the slot. Wilgus is the quarterback. Hands off up the middle. The running back on that was Horner, one of the co-captains. Horner, number 22. A pickup of about a long yard on the play. Let's call it 2nd and 9 to go. Flamini leads St. James out. They send number 86 wide left. That's Weichman. Quick pitch. There's a little stumble in the backfield on a part of Ferretti, and he's thrown for a little bit of a loss on that play. Over on the tackle was number 30, McIntyre, for East.
Stosh, you mentioned in the pregame that we might see a little bit of a 5-2. I think you just saw it right there. Nose guard, 2 tackles, defensive end, 2 inside linebackers. That was a 5-2 defensive alignment. Thus far in the first 2 plays on defense, I'm very impressed. The ball players for the Raiders are doing their job. They're staying home and closing the holes.
In the middle of that line, we have 85 Verderosa and 54 Machiarelli as the inside tackles. There's Verderosa with a little bit of movement. I see a stunt developing in there. A long pass over the intended receiver, Horner's head, well covered by the entire defensive backfield of East.
Not only well covered, but the quarterback for James couldn't even see the receiver. He had a lot of pressure on him. That was good defense. Thus far, very early in the game, but I'm very impressed with the Raider team in general, the organization that they put together in such a short time of a program.
All right, the punter will be the quarterback, Bob Wilgus, number 11. He'll drop back. Snapping, it'll be Flamini. A little bit of a high snap, but no problem. Wilgus gets a good foot into the ball. McIntyre watches it roll out. inside the 30-yard line, let's call it. It should be spotted around the 26 or 27-yard line where the Raiders will have another first down opportunity.
Something that people look at more and more in football is the kicking game, and it appears by that punt that St. James has a good kicking game. That was a very fine kick. It had good distance and get out of bounds, so there couldn't be a run back, but was kicked on a good angle. It was a very fine, very, very fine kick, period.
Well, the punt can be an excellent weapon executed properly. The ball's spotted on about the 26-yard line. I see in at right tackle we have Bob Ryan, number 79, into the ball game right now. Split backfield for the Raiders. Delay. Good call there. A pickup of about 3 yards on the play. Coming off the pile is McIntyre, number 30. Kind of a delay in there.
Yeah, it looked like a delay, a draw, but at any rate, quickness was very important in that play. It would have been a loss of a few yards if it wasn't of the quickness of the running back, and that was good execution. That's the kind of thing that any coach likes to see. That's quickness in the backfield. That could have been a loss. It turned out to be a gain.
Chevrier and McIntyre, the running backs. There's the wingback coming around. Number 40, Amir, picking up plenty of yardage, enough for a Raiders first down.
Talking about quickness before, Amir came around. It looked like he was just coasting, trying to find his hole. When he found it, he accelerated through the hole, and you could see that it was really a heck of a good run. And again, good execution, good hole, good running.
All right, it's a first down for the Raiders on their own 37-yard line. Slot right formation. McIntyre gets the call, slips in the backfield, about a 1-yard gain on the play. Defensively, on the right side, we got Mike Horner and John Zappala fouling things up for St. James.
Good defensive play, and as you said, he did slip making the turn, and that was the end of the play, which will bring up a long yard situation. Thus far, we've been able to see the Raiders move on the ground. They have not impressed us through the air yet.
I think both teams right now are just sparring one another a little bit here and there. We've got a single wide receiver to the right. Jump pass, good to no. Slevin can't hang on to it. The play was well intended. The pass was on the money. Joe Slevin couldn't hang on to it. Tough break for the Raiders.
Stosh, if I was ever a coach, I'd be an easy person to scout because I'd probably call that play once every series of down. I like that play, and of course, I guess I wouldn't have too much success doing it that way, but I do like that play, and I have a funny suspicion that you're going to see them come back with it because it should have been completed. The ball, unfortunately, was dropped, and the man was open. I think you'll find him come back to it. Maybe not now, but later.
We got a pro set. Slevin wide left, Amir to the right. McIntyre gets the call. He's got one man to get around, and McIntyre breaks it down the sideline past the 20-yard line when Wilgus knocks him out just about on the 10-yard line, coming from his safety spot. Good run in there by Jimmy McIntyre for Toms River East.
Now we're going to talk about a little thing called momentum, Stosh. That play gave the Raiders momentum, and I think you're going to watch them go in for a touchdown very easily now. Good run. Good hole again. I think everybody's doing their job. I won't say it was a sensational run. I'm going to say that it was a great run and great blocking that helped it. It was a very good team effort, and that's what football's all about.
Well, Bobby Wilgus, a two-way performer for St. James, came across from his safety spot to prevent that touchdown, but Toms River East has a first down just outside the 10-yard line. A first down is possible without a touchdown score. Got a wing right formation for the Raiders. Getting the call, number 24, Vince Garrity. Short yardage gained in there. Middle guard, Dennis Scott, number 66, coming off the bottom of that pile.
Stosh, just no blocking right there. It's simple as that. We'll be right back with more action from Toms River North.
There you see the motion man, Amir. Amir gets the call. Amir finds a little bit of running room piled up in there by Shoppy, Newton, and Cassidy.
Well, maybe I spoke too soon. I see St. James getting tough here as it's close to the end zone. It's going to bring up a very important third down. From here, it looks to be about 5 yards. And this is a very key play in this ball game right now. Early, still in the first quarter. 4 minutes and 36 seconds left in the first quarter.
You got big Bob Ryan in at right tackle there. Bob did a good job blocking for that 5-yard gain. Arminio rolls to his right. being pursued, chopped down. Good play by Joe Cassidy, number 40, pursued from the rear by Vince Shoppy, number 55.
Cassidy did a heck of a job coming up. He did his job well, made a fine, clean tackle. Receivers were covered on that rollout, and the defense was not giving the quarterback any room to run it himself. Very fine defensive effort, bringing up a very tough fourth down.
Well, we've got a 4th and 6 situation. Machiarelli will attempt the field goal. Arminio, number 7, will hold.
Quarterback holding.
Good foot into it. The ball is no good. It's called no good. A little bit of argument from Machiarelli there, but 0-0 remains the score.
Stosh, of course, we have a poor angle from here, but just going by where it landed, from here it appeared as though it was a good kick, but we were not on the field. It's hard for us to say.
Well, that's one reason why those fellows in the striped shirts are out there again. They've got a much better vantage point, and there's enough of them out there to make the proper decision almost all the time. They do an excellent job. So St. James lines it up at a full house backfield. Number 32, the fullback for him, is Mike LaRosa. LaRosa gets the call, gets thrown in his backfield. Coming off the bottom of that is Jimmy Verderosa, the left inside tackle for him.
Tough defense, Stosh. Good, clean tackle. And I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I'm impressed at the organization and execution of this Raider team. The score is 0-0, but they do have the game under control right at this moment.
Got another full house backfield for St. James. Back there with LaRosa, number 22, Mike Horner. LaRosa gets the call. No. It'll be encroachment called against the Raiders. 5 yards.
Stosh, I didn't get the number, but defensive tackle on this side, I did see him move. I didn't think he encroached, but it appears as though the officials thought he did.
He encroached then. All right, we got a 2nd down and let's call it 6 situation for St. James. Staying in that full house backfield. The big tackle on our right side is Dennis Scott for St. James, number 66. Dennis is a junior. Horner gets the call on a sweep left. He's got room out there. He's got plenty of yardage, too. He's being knocked out of bounds there by Slevin, number 42, but not before a substantial gain of, let's call it, about 25 yards.
Very well executed play. Blocking was excellent. The pursuit by the Raiders wasn't that good. We'll get another look at it here, and you'll see that all kinds of room outside, turned on the speed. The fake inside held the defense, and he was able to get outside, and that's the reason for the big run, that he was able to get outside.
Oh, looks like they're calling it back, Ken. That run will go to no avail. The penalty seems to be against St. James, and it's going to be a big one, half the distance to the goal line. Unfortunate break for St. James, and it's going to be a clip called against St. James.
Stosh, there's a situation where, as far as I was concerned, that was the first real good offensive play by St. James, and I thought that maybe they need something like that to get themselves moving, and they pulled a typical New York Giant move and had it called back.
We've got a 2nd down, 15 yards to go for St. James. They have a slot right formation. Horner, the slot man. Wilgus drops back. He sees an opener. Horner, great catch. Great catch, a pickup of about 10 yards on the play. Defending back there was Chris Schiavo, number 47, one of the inside linebackers. But Horner came up with a super catch.
You're right, Stosh. Everybody did what they were supposed to do there. The defensive coverage was good. That was really anybody's ball. Went up in the air, and Horner just made a heck of a good catch. And he's a good football player. The defensive coverage was good. He's just a good split end, or what is he playing? Split end? Good receiver, period.
He gets the call again. Looks for running room inside. He's going to come up short of the 1st down. Good play there on the right side by Dave Anderson, number 60, Jim Mcgarry. This is his first game, I believe. Jim's in there, number 80. Mark Schiavo was also in a number 51. Horner holding things up with an equipment delay here.
I'd like to remind you this first quarter is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River with 22 branches and roots in Ocean County. Also being brought to you by Carter Rug Sales and Service, and they're on Route 88 in Laurelton, and the House Paneling, Route 9 in Bayville.
I don't know whether, yeah, they're going to shift into this punting situation, and there's a penalty going to be called. It's going to be encroachment against the Raiders on their right defensive end. And this will be a first down here. See, they shifted into that one, Ken. And the defender does not have to make contact with the offensive lineman. That rule's been in effect for 2 or 3 years now. They drew him off sides, picked up the 5 yards and a first down.
That's right. He encroached across the line of scrimmage, and but I still say about 10 plays ago he didn't encroach. But at any rate, the very important is gives them a first down, and this is the kind of break that St. James needs to nullify their unfortunate break of the clipping call, calling back that big play before.
Slot right formation. Giulio Ferretti, the ball carrier on that, a pickup of about 2 or 3 yards on it, direct handoff. They went to the short side of the field, tried to break one through there. Not much of a gain, but keep them honest.
I guess years ago you call that a plain old dive, Stosh. That's what it was. The blocking was there, but there was good, I would say, good closing of the gaps by the defensive line of the Raiders. A short gain, pickup of what, 3?
2 or 3 yards on that one. We got a wing right, no, a trips right there formation. Now it's handoff again. Now they showed us that trips right formation. Trips right formation means they split the right end out to the right, and they take 2 of the running backs, split them in the slot, and leaving one running back who was the ball carrier on that particular play.
That's something like student body right?
No, that's the student body right is when the entire student body gets between the tackle and the wide receiver. They haven't used that formation yet. So we've got a third down and about 5 yards to go for St. James. Trips right formation again, Horner the single running back. Wilgus looks back, hits his left end coming across. That's Weichman. Number 86, the receiver on that play. Good catch, first down, St. James.
Stosh was a good catch for some 6-7 yards, and because of good running, made a big gainer out of it. Very impressed by the way he broke 2 tackles in his running of that. And we'll get another look at it here. You can see it. After he makes the catch, he breaks a couple of tackles and does a fine job of running the ball. Right there is 1, 2, and hard man to get down.
All right, we've got a power I formation in now, but we've got movement called on the offense. It'll cost St. James 5 yards, making it 1st and 15. The ball will be spotted directly at midfield to start this particular first down series. Weichman, the receiver on that last play, was a junior. He's a big kid. I guess he goes about 6'3", 200 pounds.
And that's the end of the first quarter. Stosh and I will be right back. There's no score.
There you see the story. No score in this ball game. The second quarter about to get underway. Power right formation, power I right formation in the backfield for St. James. Wilgus fakes, rolls to his right. He's going to keep it. He picks up room. He's got a gain of close to 10 yards. He's driven out of bounds there by number 8, Bob Scott, backup quarterback offensively for the Raiders, plays a safety spot for Toms River East.
The second quarter is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River with 22 branches and roots in Ocean County. Carter Rug Sales and Service, 1 mile east of the Laurelton Circle on Route 88 in Bricktown. Also being brought to you by Office Copy Center on Old Freehold Road, Toms River.
All right, full house backfield. Number 40 carrying the ball for St. James. Cassidy. He's another two-way performer for St. James. Brings it up, and it'll be a first down for St. James's. Despite 2 penalties in this drive, Ken, they're managing to sustain a little bit of offense.
They're fired up, Stosh. They feel they can move the ball now. They've had a few big gainers. One was called back. They had a couple of problems with penalties, but they're doing a heck of a good job. They're fired up, and the Raiders are going to have to get tough. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves behind in this football game.
That's Cassidy, slot right. They've got both ends split wide right. left and right. A quarterback keeper on there. Wilgus keeps the ball. He picks up a couple of yards. Verderosa in on that tackle, along with number 54, I believe that was Machiarelli in there. Also in there defensively, right now for Toms River East, I see number 60 in the ball game. Full house backfield again for St. James as they approach the line of scrimmage. Cassidy gets the call. Cassidy finds a little bit of running room. Stopped by Amir and Scott coming up from there. The safety man Scott coming up and Amir coming up from his halfback spot, making that tackle on Cassidy. Cassidy picked up a couple of yards on the play. I'll say about 2. It's a 3rd and 5 situation as Cassidy lost his shoe.
As I said, the Raiders are going to have to get tough on defense. That was a well-executed play, but the boys from Toms River East are starting to do their job out there defensively, which they did in the very beginning of the first quarter, and it seems like they had a little bit of a mental lapse in the middle.
Number 60 in the ball game is Dave Anderson for Toms River East. He's playing their right defensive end. Wilgus keeps it on the rollout to the right. He's looking for that first down marker, and he's got it. Chased out of bounds by, let's see, that's number 30, McIntyre, and pursuing was Schiavo, number 51.
Again, they were able to get outside. Now, that's twice I've watched St. James be able to get outside, and that's a key to it. He didn't have to string it out much. He was able to get outside after a couple of yards of running, and that's the reason he was able to get the first down. I'm sure the Toms River East coaches will make some adjustments to stop that.
So it's a first down on about the 24-yard line of Toms River East, where St. James is on the move offensively. Slot right formation. Wilgus drops back. Looks deep for Horner. Horner can't hang on to it. Excellent defensive play there by Jimmy McIntyre, number 30, who broke it up.
Yes, for a minute there it looked like an interception, but the defender underplayed the ball a little bit. But what he did do was able to take the line of sight away from the receiver and break up the play. He thought he had an interception at first, and from here, so did I.
Dave Mars back into the ball game. Let's take another look at that play. You'll see Horner come out of the backfield on that one. He flares to his right, goes deep. Wilgus lofts it up. McIntyre crosses in front of Horner and thwarts the play. So we've got a 2nd and 10 to go on about the 20, let's call it the 23-yard line. We got a wing in motion to the left. Cassidy reversed to Horner. Horner looking for run room. He's got a bit of a screen out there. Good block, good cut. Horner's got McIntyre to beat. McIntyre brings him down inside the 5-yard line. Good block on the part of the left guard, pulling out Richard Newton.
Yeah, I was going to say Newton, number 64, made that play go. He made a key block. The defenders of East had the play cut off, but there was a heck of a good block. You'll see it right here on the reverse coming around. Newton comes out, and he makes a good block, be right in front of you, right there. And that's what made that play go. Good execution.
Good cutback by Horner. It's a first down inside the 5-yard line on about the 4. We've got a slot right formation, split backfield. Wilgus on a keeper tries to go over his center, but Machiarelli will come off the bottom there. Machiarelli number 51? That's Mark Schiavo, number 51, who initiated that tackle. Machiarelli clearing the blockers out of the way for Schiavo. A gain of about 2.5 yards on the play. The ball rests just outside the goal line. It's Machiarelli and, I believe, Verderosa, the 2 inside tackles, are going to try to stop Wilgus's ideas of sneaking that ball again, and it's going to be a penalty. I don't know. I think it's going to go against East. Yep, I think we're going to have encroachment called against East, giving St. James another shot at it. No, it's going to be motion. It'll be a 5-yard penalty against St. James, so that will throw a little bit of a different complexion on here. Now, the interior lineman for East did a good job in thwarting those 2 quarterback sneaks with real short yardage situation there. The penalty's going to help them out here, but they wouldn't have been successful without a good defensive stand.
You know what was interesting about that play, Stosh? The line of scrimmage, the interior line on the offense set up, and then they closed their gaps the last minute before getting down, which is kind of a tip-off of a tight play like that, and look for that in the future.
We got a trips right formation for St. James. Wilgus is going to keep it. He's got room out there. Scott coming up, cutting him off at the pass and coming over there to clean up was number 42, Joe Slevin, on a good hard clean tackle, knocking Wilgus out of bounds short of the goal line.
Stash, your pursuit by the secondary was better in that play than some of the others. Of course, it had to be. There wasn't that much room. But again, they were able to get outside. The offensive line did their job, and they blocked off the interior front 4 or 5 of East and were able to get outside. That has to change. Otherwise, they'll eat you up outside.
All right, they've got 2 shots at it from about the 6-inch line. Got a full house backfield. Conventional T, first back through, gets driven back there. Leading the charge was, I think, number 47, inside linebacker Chris Schiavo, brother of Mark, coming from his left inside linebacker spot, did a super job on stopping that handoff.
Big play coming up right now, Stash. 7 minutes and 54 seconds left in the first half. And there's a timeout on the field. St. James calling a timeout, and they want to regroup here. Big play coming up. And you have to say that the Toms River East people did a heck of a job, as you just saw the replay of that great defensive effort by the East people. Stash, just an observation. It appears so far that the success that St. James has had running on East has been outside with some reverse, fakes inside and pitching out, so on and so forth. I think they very much respect the interior front line of Toms River East, and they seem to be exploiting the idea of not having maybe quite as quick a pursuit as they might want to have.
Well, that's true, Ken. Their success has been to the outside. What surprises me is that when they line up in that full house backfield, one of the advantages from the full house backfield is with lead backs blocking for the ultimate ball carrier on an off-tackle play. That's probably one of the strongest plays in the repertoire of a full house backfield. Other than a wide handoff, like the old Oklahoma-style quick handoffs given to very, very wide splits. Now, I don't know why they went with that short handoff in a tight situation over there where Toms River East dropped them back. I'd say they dropped the halfback 2 yards in his backfield for a loss, making it a 4th down and about, let's call it a 3 situation. They have moved the ball forward about 6 inches from the onset of their making the 1st down after Horner's run coming down into the 4. So now they're going trips left. We haven't seen them pass from this formation. We've seen them run both sides. They've got the halfback to the left. They're going to pitch it to the halfback. He's going to find some running room out there, and he's going to coast on in. Trying to break the play up in deep in their backfield was Scott, who came up from his safety man spot, but looks like number 21, Giulio Ferretti, draws first blood here on his pleasant fall afternoon. St. James takes the lead 6-0.
And again, they were able to get outside. Stutchton was good blocking on that play that enabled them to go in for the touchdown. And that's, again, something I find interesting, getting all the yardage outside. And when it got tough, they didn't get that much, but they had enough. It took them 4 downs, but they got in.
Well, the trips backfield, which is a tremendous passing formation, was utilized by St. James to provide the outside blocking angles. And Walters attempts to point, and it's going to be no good off to the right, as I believe that was caught in a gust of wind. We've got a penalty on the play, and it's going to be a holding against St. James, and this may be assessed on the kickoff. Here's that formation, the trips left. See him pitch it out. The men out there have their blocking angle. Scott tries to come up. Ferretti coasts into the end zone, and St. James has a 6-0 lead here.
Just to go a little further in what you're saying, Stosh, is that by going to the trips formation, the blockers are already out there and they have the angle on the pursuit. Is that what you're saying?
That's right, but it's also a very, very potentially effective passing formation. There you see George Jeck. He's the one with the headset on in the center of his screen. They're walking off to the right of your screen there. George's a little bit unhappy right now, especially from the overall performance of his defense being so good. They ultimately let the touchdown score, but they put up a heck of a defensive effort there. As I thought, the penalty will be assessed against St. James on this kickoff. They'll kick it off from the 35-yard line. Deep men for Toms River East will be McIntyre and Garrity. Number 30 is McIntyre. Number 20, is that 24 back there? Garrity, I believe it is. Walters, number 77, will handle the kickoff responsibilities. Gets a good foot into the ball. McIntyre picks it up around the 28-yard line, looks to his right, tripped up there on a real good tackle by Joe Cassidy, number 40. That freshman is playing one heck of a defensive game for St. James today.
Toms River East is behind. They have the ball. We'll be right back with more action.
First down for East on the 46-yard line. Al Chevrier gets the call. Short yardage gained on the play. In on the tackle, number 76, John Zappala for St. James. Also Richard Newton, number 64, fine two-way performer for St. James. Vince Shoppy, number 55, calling defensive signals for St. James. There's a good shot of their defense. There's a good shot of the Raiders' offensive unit coming out there. They've got a wing right formation. Chiarella is the wing back to the right. Fake. Long pass intended for Slevin. Slevin, good move on the inside. Flag thrown. Joe Slevin made a real good move coming back inside the defender to pick that ball up.
I don't know what the flag's about. Let's talk about the play a little bit. Slevin had his man beat, and as a result of having his man beat, when the ball was thrown in front of him a little bit, he was able to come back and get the ball. The defender didn't even know it was a little short. And we'll take a look at it here. You'll see the defender couldn't even see it was short to come back. It was a little bit too late. Good reception, good play.
Well, this is a predetermined pattern that George Jeck has brought with him in his large offensive arsenal. It's a long comeback. Their namesake, or the team for which the Raiders were named, the Oakland Raiders, used that play professionally to a great deal of success. The ball is on about the 24-yard line of St. James. A wing right formation for East. Pitch goes to Chevrier. Chevrier goes in and out. Wilgus makes the tackle on him, a pickup of about, let's call it 3 yards on the play. And he looked inside, didn't see anywhere to run. So he says, well, that door's closed. Let's go down the hallway here and see what's open.
And found something open. Good run. Getting back to that play before, Stosh, would you agree that the key to it is getting your defender turned around and getting him slightly beat so you can come back for the ball without him coming back with you?
Oh, absolutely, Ken. Here's a slot right formation. Slevin, the wide receiver, to the right. McIntyre and Garrity. Garrity gets the call, threads his way through there, brought down by Cassidy. Good pickup of about 5 or 6 yards on the play. It'll bring up, he carries the ball down to about the 14-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd and 1 situation for the Raiders. The Raiders are in good shape here, field position-wise, after being able to move the ball on St. James.
Stosh, they have been able to move the ball on the ground inside. They still seem to have a little bit of trouble on that rollout. Let's see what they go to here. I assume it'll be inside, short yardage, 3rd down.
Good defensive play there on the part of St. James, knocking the ball down. I believe that was Newton getting a good hard hit on Mark Amir, who came in motion from his tight wingback spot to the right-hand side. St. James threw it for a loss of about 3 on the play, making it 4th down and about 4. Let's take another look at that one. There you see the back coming from the right-hand side. Comes in there. Good defense.
And Newton, a two-way performer out here today, so far doing a heck of a good job, also playing right offensive guard.
Machiarelli will attempt his 2nd field goal attempt. Machiarelli gets a good foot into the ball, and it's going to go right up the middle that time. John Machiarelli puts the Raiders on the scoreboard, making the score St. James 6, Toms River East 3.
How football games change, Stosh. We didn't see too many field goals 7 years ago, but we see a lot of them being attempted now, and that's very important, getting Toms River East on the scoreboard. It's nice to have a weapon like a kid that can kick a field goal like that.
That field goal was a 25-yard attempt, successful by John Machiarelli. Machiarelli will conduct the kickoff responsibilities for the Raiders. There you see the scoreboard, 4:33 remaining in the first half, 6-3, St. James over Toms River East right now.
Stosh, I'd like to remind you that this second quarter is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Tom's River, Office Copy Center, and Carter Rug Sales and Service.
There's a good shot of the cheerleaders doing a fine job out here. They were introduced. This is their first home game also, and they're doing a wonderful job out there for Tom's River East. The deep men for St. James are number 48, Paul Rizzo. I believe that's number 48 back there. It's either he or Mark Adams. Yeah, 48, Paul Rizzo. And it looks like Rizzo will have an opportunity to run this ball back. He picks it up on about the 2-yard line, lugs it forward up to just short of the 20-yard line, where St. James will have a 1st and 10 to go. Kickoff was well covered by the Raiders.
Well, here's a point in the game now where you see which way momentum goes. Tom's River East just get on the scoreboard. Does that fire St. James up, or does that fire up the defense of Tom's River East and say, hey, let's get the ball back, fellas. We have enough time to get on the scoreboard again.
St. James comes out in their power eye to the right formation. La Rosa, the deep back. Wilgus, the quarterback, calls the signals, gives it to Horner. Good play there by number 80, Mcgarry. Super play there by Jim Mcgarry for the Raiders of Tom's River East. Mcgarry is a 5'11", 160-pound junior playing in his first varsity ball game. Read that one all the way, Ken.
That's right, and he turned the play inside like he's supposed to, kept and closed in on it, really. Everybody did their job there. There was no place for him to go. It was a beautiful tackle, well executed.
Pickup of about half a yard on the play, 2nd and 9 to go. Same formation for St. James. Wilgus falls. It was supposed to be a reverse pivot handoff to the running back, number 40. Pick up about 2 yards on the play despite a little bit of a wet footage there. That was Joe Cassidy carrying the ball on the play. He's lucky to bail out without a fumble on that one, Ken.
Big 3rd down and 7 coming up, and right now this is an important point in the game. I mentioned that there is enough time for East to get back on the scoreboard, and if they stop this play, they have a good chance they can.
Full house for St. James. Wilgus gives to the last man through, Horner, but he is going nowhere. A whole host of East tacklers, led by number 87 for Tom's River East. That's Dave Morris, who got tremendous penetration there. A loss on the play of about 3 yards, making it 4th and 11. Wilgus will have to drop back and punt. I don't think you'll see him shift into a punt this time, Ken.
I don't think they will either. We'll find out right now. But at any rate, East will get the ball in very good field position. As you mentioned, there was a lot of people in the backfield, a good team effort once again.
Another high snap. Wilgus gets a good punt off. McIntyre will field it. Calls for a fair catch right at midfield. Down on the coverage was number 47 for St. James, Frank Thorpe.
They have 2 minutes and 10 seconds to do something with the ball. Stosh, do you change your strategy, go to the air a little more? Do you try to run outside and stop the clock on sweeps? What do you do?
Well, I would try to keep them honest with at least one handoff. They've still got 2 timeouts remaining, and they can stop the clock at their own volition or at their own desire any time. You can't go right up top. I think they're going to have to keep it on the ground and keep them honest for at least one play here. Amir in motion. Pass. Oh, in and out of the hands of McIntyre. We had defensive pressure being put on by Zapala, number 76, coming from his right defensive end spot. Those plays are a little bit slow forming there. McIntyre had his hands on a ball. It wasn't the perfect pass play, and the drop on it probably taught East a little bit of a lesson on how to execute there.
Looking at it again, you're going to see good pressure on the quarterback. I'm surprised he got the ball away just in time, and the ball, as you said, in and out of McIntyre's hands. They'll throw it again.
They send 2 wide receivers, flanker wide right. This is a typical pro set. Screenplay coming up here. Finds McIntyre. Newton on the initial hit. McIntyre breaks loose. Cassidy comes across with the tackle, but McIntyre picks up a gain of about 7 yards on the play. Cut back across the middle of the field, trying to pick up his blockers on the... Actually, he geared his run against the pursuit of St. James.
That play was stopped, and the yardage gain was on individual effort. A very good run after the reception of the pass.
We got a third and, let's call it 4 yards to go for East. Slevin goes as the end to the left this time. We have a wing right formation. And it's going to be to Amir inside, and he's stopped. Pickup of about 1. He doesn't have a lot of momentum coming from that wing back spot on that early motion.
You're right, Stosh. It's going to be 4th down. He fell short by a couple of yards. He just picked up a little bit, and as you said, there wasn't much momentum coming back. I don't think anybody was fooled in that play, and apparently there's probably some trap blocking inside that wasn't executed properly.
Well, George Jeck's offense does require intricate blocking execution on the part of his linemen, and with a new ball club, sometimes that is very, very difficult to accomplish. We got Machiarelli in as the punter. He's going to punt it from about the 45-yard line. Wilgus is the deep man back for St. James. Machiarelli passes it over the middle, and it's broken up in there by Bob Weichman. Number 86 dropped back very nicely and didn't fool him.
No, 31 seconds left in the clock. St. James will get the ball back. Really not too much time to do anything except either sit on it and hope not to fumble it or just go into the locker room with a lead. And I think that's what St. James is going to do, go in with a lead.
All right, Wilgus is at the quarterback. There's a replay of that one. There you see number 86, Weichman, dropping off very, very smartly right in the middle and broke it up for St. James. Got a slot right formation for St. James. Wilgus drops back. He's looking to bomb. In and out of the hands of Weichman, the intended short receiver on that play. But number 47 was very, very casual going downfield, and he was adjusting his elbow guards.
Only took 5 seconds to throw the ball. It seemed like it took 10 seconds to get the pattern going, but the clock said it only took 5 seconds to run that play, which means we have 26 seconds left. Stosh, I'm surprised, and maybe you can give some insight into this. I'm surprised I don't see them in some sort of a prevent defense.
I think they are. I think they're rotating to a deep prevent over there, but they've got to honor their wide receivers over there. They got a slot right formation. Scott and Slevin are way outside, and this time the ball goes to number 21 for Reddy for St. James. He picks up about 4 or 5 yards on the play. The clock is moving. We've got under 15 seconds remaining here in the first half. St. James is not making an attempt to call timeout. It looks like we're going to see a 6-3 conclusion to this half. Score-wise, with St. James leading by 3 points over the host Toms River East Raiders. Yep, the clock has run out, Ken, and we've got an interesting ball game here in the first half.
6-3 score, very interesting, and what makes it more interesting about it being a 3-point difference is that we know now that Toms River East can kick field goals. And when your other team can't make a conversion and it's a 6-3 score, you're really in the football game. This looks like it's going to be a low-scoring game, and there's no doubt about it. Toms River East is very, very much in this football game. A few adjustments. The key thing that I can see on defense, and see what you feel, Stosh, is they have to make some sort of an adjustment to stop that rollout and letting them get outside. And I'm referring to when the quarterback rolls out, he has room to run if the receivers are covered. And on that trips formation, as you said, with the blocking angles, it makes a big difference. So, as you said, 6-3 the score. St. James over Toms River East Raiders. We'll be right back with halftime activities. You're looking at the marching Raiders from Toms River East, and I have to say that I'm quite impressed at the size of the band, keeping in mind, again, that this is their first year, and they really very, very organized here. Halftime is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River, with 22 branches and roots in Ocean County. Carter Rug Sales and Service, 1 mile east of the Lorton Circle on Route 88 in Bricktown, and by Lowry Organ Center in the Ocean County Mall, Toms River. Right now, let's go to the field and enjoy the marching band, the Raiders of Toms River East.
Drum Major John Brummer, is the band ready to perform? From the home of the Raider, the Toms River High School East Marching Raiders.
It's halftime from the field of Toms River North. Right now, the temporary home field of the Toms River East Raiders. They're behind by 3 points in this football game, 6-3 to St. James. I'd like to remind you that halftime is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River, Carter Rug Sales and Service, and the Lowry Organ Center. We'll be right back with more halftime activities. Once again, 6-3 the score. St. James over Toms River East. And Stosh, what are your comments on the first half?
Well, Ken, I saw a lot of gutsy football played over there on this field here, Gurnard Field in Toms River North, home of the Mariners, and temporarily being used, as you said, by the Raiders of Toms River East. Chiarella scored for St. James, but it wasn't an easy job for St. James to penetrate that goal line. Horner ran it down to the 4-yard line. It took him about 6 attempts to get it over there. Helped with a penalty, a motion penalty, and then Toms River East showed me an awful lot of character defensively. St. James is a team with a deep in character. They've had to come back the last couple ball games. One they won, and one of them that they lost. Their record right now is 2-1, and this is their 4th ball game. And I see a lot of good execution out there for a new ball club as far as Toms River East goes, and a small independent parochial school from St. James. It's been an interesting game. The scoring hasn't been tantamount, but we're seeing an excellent game in our CTC Game of the Week.
As you're looking at the band of the Raiders of Toms River East, let me tell you a little bit about their football program. What you're watching out there today is their varsity program, and they're mainly, well, they are sophomores and juniors. There's no seniors out there at Toms River East. They also play a JV program. They play a freshman program and a freshman B. As the athletic director, Bill Lundy, put it to me, any boy that puts on a football jersey at Toms River East will play football at one point or another. They also play sophomore games. Excuse me, not JV, but sophomore games.
Well, I don't want to correct you, Ken, but I think that with the necessity for staffing a varsity, their sophomore program had a little bit of a hole shot in it this year, but next year all the plans are to execute a complete program, including JV, sophomore, and freshman.
Well, what I mentioned was a quote from Mr. Lundy about an hour and a half ago. I think I'll take back the JV. It's a sophomore program, but at any rate, and freshmen, they play freshman games and freshman B. But the point is that if a kid puts on a uniform at Toms River East, he plays football, and that's the way all programs should be, and most are, I might add. I don't want to say that Toms River East is the only school that does this, but that's the way it should be.
Well, they jumped into their athletic program with both feet. There's no denying it. I didn't expect to see varsity football competition over there this year, but here you see some of the many supporters of the athletic and academic program of Toms River East, and they are the people to really be patted on the back. They're the parents that really stand up behind all the activities, extracurricular and academic activities for the school system.
As you look at the crowd, I'd like to remind you that halftime has been brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River, Lowry Organ Center, Carter Rug Sales and Service. And the band is now leaving the field, and they did an awfully fine job in front of their first home crowd as we look at one of our fine camera people. And there's a good wide shot. Stosh and I will be right back with the second half. The score once again is 6-3. Toms River East have the 3. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Ken. There you see Machiarelli kicking off. Deep receivers for St. James will be number 40, Joe Cassidy, and number 21, Giulio Chiarella. Chiarella bobbles it, runs it. He breaks through there and takes it up to about the 15-yard line. Good coverage there by Toms River East, being led by number 21, Sal Chiarella, and number 34, Al Cherrier. So St. James will put the ball into play on the 15-yard line. I'd like to remind everyone that on October 17th, right here on Gurnard Field, the home of the Toms River North Mariners, will be the Festival of Bands. All the local bands will perform that evening. The proceeds of it will go to the Jimmy Alt Fund. Jimmy Alt, as you know, is a fine athlete for Toms River South. Underwent a spinal problem this past summer, paralyzing him. There's a fumble and a bobble, a recovery on a part of number 21, Giulio Chiarella, who's fumbled the last 2 times he has hands on a ball for St. James, and that drops him back to about the 6-yard line. But Jimmy Alt all his fans, and he has many of them in our area, are getting behind to try to offset some of the tremendous hospital bills incurred by his ailments. So I'd like to encourage everyone to participate in any way they can. For more information, contact your high school music departments. We got 2nd and 19, ball on a 6-yard line. Wilgus hands it to Horner. Horner looking for running room. He is ultimately stopped by number 47, Chris Schiavo, coming around his left inside linebacker spot.
Chris had good pursuit on that play, came across, made a fine, clean tackle, and that'll bring up a long 3rd down play, Stosh.
Yeah, it looks like we have a 3rd and 16 situation. The ball is on about the 9-yard line. Wilgus sends out his center, Mike Flamini, number 51, one of the co-captains. St. James is not in real good field position here. East defending, split backs. Wilgus fakes, rolls to his right, and he is stopped by number 87. I believe that was Dave Morris.
And Dave Morris did a fine job cutting off the outside, something we talked about in the first half, Stosh. Looks like that's what we were saying they had to do, and it was a real fine defensive play. Turned that ball right inside, no place to go, made the tackle.
Okay, we have St. James forced into a punting situation here. Wilgus will handle the punting choice. He's got to be careful so he doesn't step backwards. He had a couple high snaps today. That one is easily handled. It's going to be a good kick for St. James. McIntyre fields it on about his 38-yard line, and he is knocked out of bounds by number 85, Nastasi, and number 86, Weichman for St. James. We see a yellow flag thrown down on about the 30-yard line. Let's see what happens. Let's see what's the cause of the infraction.
Stosh, I was watching the ball carrier. I didn't see it. I don't know what it is, but usually it's a clipping call when it's on that area of the field on a play like that.
Well, you guessed it, Ken. It'll cost the Raiders 15 big yards, and giving up those 15 yards is going to put them closer to the midfield, where had they gone without incurring that penalty, they would have been in tremendous shape down about the 30, but the ball is going to be put just outside the 45-yard line. But still, they're in good field position. They've got 45 yards away from pay dirt, and let's see if that offensive machine is ready to go.
And again, it's only a 3-point ball game. Toms River East already has shown us that they have another weapon. It's called a field goal kicker.
They come out in a wing right formation. Amir, the wing back to the bottom of your screen. Their quarterback, Arminio, number 7, McIntyre, and Chevrier. Amir gets the call. Coming back from that wingback spot, coming off the bottom of that pile, is Richard Newton, number 64, doing an outstanding job at an inside linebacker spot on the right-hand side for St. James today.
Yeah, it was a good play by Newton. He is doing a heck of a good job playing both ways, as we mentioned in the first half. The interesting part there is the hole was closed, and the play went for any yards because the ball carrier rolled off for a few yards.
We've got a 2nd and 6 situation for the Raiders. Hooper in at right tackle for them. Quarterback drops back, looks deep for Slevin. He's underthrown. Nick Arminio, a little bit disappointed there. Underthrew Slevin, who was behind the defensive halfback, Wilgus, the safety man, Wilgus. Slevin was open on the play.
Slevin was wide open. He had his man beat by a few yards, and the ball was underthrown, as you just mentioned. And it's a good thing it wasn't intercepted. The reason it wasn't, Slevin came back for the ball and really stopped it from being intercepted.
3rd and 6 to go for the Raiders. Slot right formation. The slot man there is Chiarella. Wide man is Slevin. Arminio looks back. A little bit of pressure. Chiarella and Wilgus. Wilgus comes down with the ball. Great defensive effort there.
Great defensive effort. Again, pressure on the quarterback. We'll get another look at this. But the ball was thrown. I think he thought he was throwing the ball away because the receiver was really well covered. But being a little bit of prejudice, I can't help it. We'll say it's as good as a punt. And we'll take another look at it here, Stosh.
There's Arminio. You'll see pressure coming up from the inside. Number 66, David Scott, the middle guard, breaking through that cup again. And it was a hand-to-hand combat down there on the 6-yard line. But St. James comes up with the ball. They started out with a slot right formation, split backfield. Horner the slot back. Wilgus keeps it. He looks for running room. He got outside. Slevin with the stop on him, but not before he picks up about 7 yards on the play. Wilgus tucked it in. There was no fake on that one, Kenny. He just took it around that right side and got him out of a precarious situation there.
And St. James front interior line doing a heck of a good job blocking on those outside plays. And Stosh, we haven't seen those trips outside yet this half.
Well, I don't think the field position has warranted it yet. We saw a wide slot formation, and I see an official time on the calling time on the field. I don't know what the problem here is. St. James doesn't have a big squad. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 19, about 19 men on the sideline. That means they travel with a full complement of 30 ball players. That's why you see so many of them going two ways here. Oh, looks like number 51 in on that tackle for the Raiders. Or Anderson, 60 is in there. 51 also in there. 51 is Mark Schiavo. They stopped him cold on that one. Perhaps about a half a yard loss on him, making it 3rd and 3.
Stosh, once again, when they try to go straight ahead, the Toms River East front 4 and the linebackers, really the front 7 or 8, is doing a heck of a good job, and they're only getting yardage going outside.
I see Verderosa at right tackle and Machiarelli at left tackle in this particular formation here. Defensive alignment, rather. Wilgus rolls to his right. Slevin comes up for the tackle, and he nails him. Good play on a part of Joe Slevin. Drops Wilgus on the 11-yard line. Another loss on the play, making St. James kick the ball once again, trying to get out of this hole. McIntyre will be the deep man for Toms River East.
Slevin saw that quarterback in front of him. He said, "It's my turn, buddy," and he went in there and did a heck of a good job stopping it and making the tackle. Good defensive play.
Wilgus will be punting from approximately his own goal line. He's standing in the end zone there. Good kick, good high kick. McIntyre will field it around midfield, down on the coverage, number 47, turns him inside. Number 47, that's Frank Thorpe, cleaning up Newton, number 64. Not much of a return on the play. Let's call it 4 yards.
And I like the way they waited until he turned around so there was no clip on that one block. Not much of a return, you're right, but this ball game so far in the second half is being played in St. James territory, and Toms River East, if they can get a drive going here, they can change the whole complexion of the football game.
Amir, the wing back to the right. Arminio calls signals, gives to the second man. Looking to the outside, number 24, Garrity. Garrity picks up good yardage near the first down. I think he might have it. He's brought down there by the safety man, Wilgus, and Joe Cassidy, number 40, coming across, also in on a tackle. There's a good shot of Vince Gearity, the running back for Toms River East.
Garrity had good speed going outside and kept his balance, kept his speed making the turn, and got outside real nice for 10 yards or so, and it was enough for the first down. So we'll say he picked up a 10.5, 11 yards.
Slot right formation. Chiarella, the slot back. Slevin, the wide receiver, to the right. Garrity again gets the call. This time he's tripped up by number 86, Weichman, excuse me, Bob.
Weichman, another two-way performer. He was the one that caught that pass that was called back earlier in the game. But at any rate, inside, Toms River isn't getting as much running room as they were before. I really respect the St. James front 4 and their linebackers.
Amir in motion. He gets the fake. Arminio looking for Slevin, and there's, that was a tough call there by the referee.
Stanley, I didn't see a flag, and when I didn't see the flag, I said to myself, you know, there probably shouldn't be a flag because it was an honest trip going for the ball, but it's hard to say, and as you said, that was a very tough call.
The penalty is going to be called on number 21 for St. James, Giulio Ferretti, and we're going to have a repeat on that play right here. There you see the motion. There you see Arminio throwing over to the left side. Slevin was the intended receiver, and interference called against Ferretti.
I really couldn't see it too good on the screen, but from our angle up here in the press box, they got their feet tangled, really, and it was unintentional. It's, I guess, a judgment call by the officials, Stosh.
Good break for the Raiders here. That takes the ball down to, let's see where they're going to spot it. They're going to spot the ball on the 17 or 18-yard line. St. James with his back against the wall here. They're going to have to play some defense to keep this moving Raider offense out of that end zone. This time, Chiarella is the wingback to the right. McIntyre gets the call. Tackle by Horner, number 22, coming over from his right end spot.
Pickup of a few yards on that, not too much room over there. Stosh, I'd just like to mention that, once again, they are in field goal range, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely, Ken. Machiarelli can hit it from, this is well within his striking range. Machiarelli leads the offensive unit for East out of the huddle. Wing left formation. Quick pitch to McIntyre. McIntyre threading his way down the left sideline, driven out of there by Newton and Nastasi, number 85.
Newton all over the field for St. James. Really a very good defensive performer. He showed us earlier in the game some of his offensive talents. He's the one that made that great block on the outside run that allowed the big gain. But at any rate, right here the yardage is getting tough. We have a third down. It's going to be approximately 5 yards. Let's see what Toms River East can come up with.
Well, I'm going to try to keep my eye on Dennis Scott, number 66. He's the middle guard for St. James. Let's see if he can inflict any damage there. Not much of a pass rush there. There you see Weichman putting pressure on Arminio, but Joe Cassidy, the monster man, drops Arminio for a loss on the play on that attempted rollout. I believe that was a pass run option on the play.
Fourth down, about 7 yards to go.
Making it 4th and 7. Verderosa was,
Yeah, in the end zone, wide open.
That's how you read this chart, Ken.
I'm trying to read Stosh's charts here, and I really can't blame him because he can't read my handwriting. I don't expect that I should be able to read his.
All right, Machiarelli's going to attempt the field goal, a low snap, and it's going to go off to the left. And St. James holds. Machiarelli a little bit disappointed. The snap wasn't perfect. The holder on it was Arminio. And St. James got the football.
And 3 minutes and 14 seconds left in the third quarter. 6-3, St. James over East. We'll be right back.
St. James has possession of the ball on the 20-yard line. Power ride to the right formation for St. James. Tailback gets the call. That's Horner. He bursts over right guard, but he's met there by a whole host of tacklers, led by John Machiarelli, number 54, and Schiavo. That's Chris Schiavo, number 47, accompanied with his brother Mark, who play the two inside linebackers. A pickup of about 2 yards on the play. Wind definitely a factor in an attempted field goal on Machiarelli's part, thwarting that offensive thrust by Toms River East. Wilgus hands it off to the first man. Stumbling across the 25-yard line is Giulio Ferretti. Picks up about 2 or 3 yards on the play, making it 3rd and 5 yards to go.
Stosh, third down. I have a funny suspicion St. James will go outside either with a rollout or something, and I'm sure East is aware of it. They had problems with St. James doing that in the first half. Let's see what they do here. Thus far in the third quarter, they've been able to control that.
I see Slevin out to the left this time. He's their strongest tackler, and it's going to be a movement.
47.
No, it's going to be assessed against St. James. The movement was on the part of the white and green. And it brings up a 3rd and 10 situation. This casts the brighter light on a potential passing play, Ken.
Yes, it sure does. Now 3rd down and 10 yards. You know that they have to call a play which has a high possibility of 10 yards, which most of the time is a pass play.
Well, Ken, you liked that quick pass to Weichman last time. He's on a left end spot. Let's see what they do to hold him in. He's lined up right on Anderson. They fake. They go to Horner. Horner fools everybody, picks up 5 yards on the play, and St. James will be forced to punt once again.
I don't think they mind being fooled for 5 yards when they needed 10. We're going to see, I believe, East getting the ball back, and I doubt if you'll see a fake in this kind of field position. You know, Stosh, I just have to mention, I can't help it, that we keep getting the feeling that Toms River East is going to go ahead in this football game, and they seem to be struggling out there.
That they are, Ken, but they're playing the ball game down in St. James territory, and this has a tendency to take a little bit out of a team. Wilgus is the punter. McIntyre deep. Wilgus gets a good snap, good punt, very high kick, driving McIntyre back inside his 35-yard line. It takes a East roll. McIntyre wisely falls on the play. Excellent coverage down there by number 47, Frank Thorpe, who was right on top of McIntyre. Now this play has a net gain of, I'd say, 35 and 15, about 60 yards.
I was going to say, while you're adding it up, Stosh, I said in the first quarter that kicking game is very important. Now, we just got finished saying that this second half has been played with St. James with their backs against the wall. This changes the complexion tremendously right here with this big punt.
That's what it was, a real big punt there for St. James. East has a wing back to the left. That's Amir in motion. He gets the call. He's looking for that off tackle. He gets good yardage, a gain of about 5.5 yards on the play. Leading the blocking for Toms River East was number 79, Bob Ryan.
Amir has good instincts when it comes to running the ball. So does McIntyre, really. I like the way he rolls off tackles and picks up an extra yard or two as he did there. Actually, he was hit let's put it this way, he picked up 2 more yards by rolling off and avoiding one clean tackle.
Same formation. This time Chiarella is the wingback. Roll out by Arminio. A wobbly pass, almost a great catch by Verderosa coming back. Double coverage picked up on Verderosa, who was hit pretty hard on the play, as was Arminio, the quarterback. There's a good shot at Jimmy.
That's right. I was going to mention that it seems like that there's always pressure on the quarterback, and he hasn't really had a lot of time to look at his receiver. You have to give him a lot of credit for how he is throwing the ball, and it was pressure in all directions, good coverage. The ball was almost completed, although you really can't expect him to catch it with the kind of pressure he had on him. It was a very good defense by St. James, both on the quarterback and also on the pass receiver. The clock shows 1 second left in the quarter, so I assume this will be the end of the third quarter after this.
All right, Arminio rolls back again. Tremendous pressure by Newton. Screen pass to McIntyre. Comes up. Cassidy comes up and knocks down the interference. The tackler on the play was number 51 for St. James. That was Mike Flamini coming over from his defensive linebacker spot.
And Newton once again doing a great job on defense and offense. That's the end of the third quarter. 6-3, still the score in favor of St. James. We'll be right back.
This is CTC Television, Channel 8 in Bayville.
With friends or family or by yourself.
Hi, I'm Nick Work.
The fourth quarter is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River with 22 branches and roots in Ocean County. Carter Rug Sales and Service, 1 mile east of the Laurelton Circle, Bricktown. Also by Perkins Pancake and Steakhouse, Route 37, Toms River.
Well, as that quarter changed, Machiarelli will be punting with the wind. The wind will be at his back, which the wind was instrumental in Wilgus' excellent punt, getting the ball out of deep St. James territory into Toms River East territory. Now they have the advantage. Machiarelli responds with a good punt, and it's going to go out of bounds just beyond the midfield marker. Let's see where they spot it.
Machiarelli's punt goes out of bounds around the 48-yard line.
This will be the best field position, really, that St. James has had in the whole second half. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. It's all happening as a result of the punt. I'd like to mention that I think that the defensive units of both teams are doing a great job, and that the offensive unit that holds it all together here in the fourth quarter is going to end up winning this football game.
It'll be first down on Toms River East 48-yard line. St. James has possession. First and 10 to go. They're going to send a wide slot right formation out. Wilgus, number 11, calling signals. He drops back, straight back, good pressure. Tremendous defensive charge there, led by Chris Schiavo, left linebacker, coming on a blitz, drops Wilgus for a loss of about 15 yards on a play. The ball is going to be put into play on about the 36.
Well, guess what? They're back in their own territory. They were in Toms River East territory. Great defensive play. As you just described, let's take another look at it, Stosh. You'll see a lot of pressure. Pick it up.
47, Schiavo coming in there. Wilgus being dumped on the 36-yard line. 3 backs, full house backfield for St. James. Wilgus gives to the second man. That's Ferretti. He's being stacked up after a gain of about 3.5, 4 yards. Slevin on the tackle.
Ferretti was able to get outside for a little bit, and all of a sudden he met the defense of Toms River East, and I think he got a good idea of how hard they can hit right there. It was a very good tackle. They did pick up a few yards, but good defensive effort.
We've got third down and 12 is the situation for St. James. Ball is on about the 40-yard line. Slot left formation for St. James. Wilgus drops straight back again. He has a little bit of time, lofts it out over his intended receiver's head, covering on the play. It was McIntyre. The intended receiver on the play was Mike Horner, number 22. Wilgus will be forced with another punting situation.
McIntyre was a lot closer to the ball, and he almost had an interception there. Very quickly, all of a sudden, we're going to see Toms River East with the football. The punt is going to be very important once again. What kind of field position is Toms River East going to end up with when they get the ball?
McIntyre is settling on about the 20-yard line to see how this punt evolves. Wilgus is back inside his 30-yard line. Gets a good snap. Waits. Short punt. It's going to drop on about the 32. McIntyre fields it on 25. Looks to his left. Dragged down there by Newton. Cleaned up by number 76 for St. James, John Zappala, defensive tackle.
Newton once again in on the tackle. He's all over the field. Heck of a good football player. And we're going to see Toms River East in a position here where it's really time to get the drive going, Stosh. It's kind of like a now or never situation. As you know, if you keep it on the ground, you can eat up an awful lot of clock with a drive. So really, they have to get it moving right now.
We've got about 10 minutes remaining in the ball game. Arminio sends Amir wide right. Gives it off to number 34, Al Chevrier, met by a whole host of St. James defenders, led in there by Whiteman, number 86. Newton coming off the bottom of the pile. Also in on that tackle was number 55 for St. James. That was, well, we'll give 55 recognition there. Vince Shoppy, one of the linebackers, left inside linebacker for St. James.
Short yardage on that play, a pickup of a yard, 2 yards, we'll call it, bringing up a second down and 8. Let's see what they come up with.
Wing right formation for the Raiders. Arminio fakes, rolls to his right. He's got room to the outside, stumbles on about the 42-yard line. Weichman near the tackle. Shoppy also over there again. A pickup of about 4 yards on the play, making it 3rd and 4.
Again, he's being chased. This time he had a little room outside. Unfortunately, he did stumble, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down, but it's not too long. 3rd down, and what would you say, Stosh, 4?
About 4 yards on the play, Ken. Short yardage situation like this leaves the element of surprise right to the offense. Amir split wide right. Split backs behind Arminio, calling signals. Looks for the pop pass to Verderosa. Verderosa has it right at just short of the midfield line. It'll be a 1st down for the Raiders.
Told you we'd see it again, Stosh. Good time for it. You were mentioning the element of surprise. And here's my favorite play, and I was surprised.
Good hands on the part of Jimmy Verderosa, number 85, snagging that Arminio pass. A gain of about 7 yards on the play, bringing the ball just about to midfield. Amir is the wing back to the right this time. Arminio looking deep, looking for Slevin. 3 deep men back there. Slevin can't handle it. Defending on the play back there was number 21 for the St. James, Ferretti. Ferretti came up holding the ball, but it was ruled an incompleted pass by the back.
Here's a replay of it, Stosh. One thing you'll notice right there is good pass coverage this time. Also, good blocking on the line for Toms River East. Unfortunately, incomplete.
Yeah, they had 3 deep men surrounding Joe Slevin at that time, who I thought had a chance of coming down with the ball. Good effort on his part. Wing left formation for the Raiders. Pitch to McIntyre. McIntyre finding running room, dragged down from behind by number 76, John Zapala. We got a little bit of a bobble over there.
Stosh, it looked like the ball was, I don't know whether it was cleanly fumbled or not. We'll have to see. Apparently, Toms River East still has it. No, they lost it. They lost the football. And, hey, time again, Stosh. What do we have on the clock?
We've got 7:40 remaining in the football game. Mike Flamini, co-captain for St. James, came up with that key fumble on St. James' 48-yard line. They've got a wing right formation. Horner the wing back. Wilgus on the option. Number 14 throws the ball intended for Weichman. A great catch on the part of Bob Weichman, excuse me. And throwing that ball was Rich Gatana, second-string quarterback for St. James. Also, Rich Gatana Sr.'s favorite son right of this moment.
I would say. Very good catch in a crowd. And Weichman has been very impressive thus far. Watch the pressure on this kid. And comes down with the ball. A heck of a good catch. Just a good catch.
Glue on those fingers for Bob Weichman. He's a junior for St. James. Done a fine job both ways. Full house. And Ferretti gets the call, but he is stopped up in there by Morris, I believe, number 87. No, that was Schiavo, number 47, with a lot of help from number 80, Mcgarry, coming across.
Schiavo came from behind him and just started climbing up his back and slowing him down. Good defensive play.
Mcgarry also in on the tackle.
All right, that brings up a 2nd and 11 situation for St. James. Toms River East defense bending a little bit here. Let's take a look at them. Right up the middle, carrying the ball for St. James was Horner, number 22. He crosses the 30-yard line, a pickup of about 3 yards on the play.
Dave Morris makes the tackle.
There's a timeout on the field. We'll be right back with more action.
3rd and 8 is the situation for St. James. The ball is on the 27-yard line of Toms River East, slot left formation. Wilgus drops straight back on the curl pattern. Great catch there by Joe Cassidy on that old Oakland Raider comeback pattern. And he's got enough for the first down.
You know, I don't remember where I heard it, but last week I was watching some football game, either college or pro, and the announcer made a comment that all good receivers come back to the football, and that was a good example of it right there.
Good catch, good throw. Wilgus to Cassidy, a gain of about 10 yards on the play, taking the ball down to the, let's call it the 18-yard line. Flamini leads his offensive unit out. Thorpe split wide right. Cassidy in the slot right. Split backs behind Wilgus. Wilgus drops straight back again. Lofts it out. Caught. Good catch there by number 85, Steve Nastasi. Great catch over his left shoulder, looking into the sun. Brings it down inside the 5-yard line, where St. James will have a first down, goal to go on about the, let's call it the 2-yard line, Ken.
St. James moving the football and really getting good receivers they have, and we'll get another look at it here. Good protection of the quarterback. Beautiful catch right over the shoulder. Kept his eyes on the football. Brought it in. 1st and goal.
Power I formation for St. James. Wilgus gives to the last man through Joe Cassidy. He is stopped short of that goal line by Machiarelli. Schiavo, Scott came up from his safety man slot. Coming off the bottom of that pile is Morris, I believe, number 87. Good defensive effort there on the part of Toms River East.
I thought when you were finished mentioning the names, you were going to say all 11 of them, because that's how it looked from here. The Toms River East defense getting tough right here where they have to get tough. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't think St. James is going to go through the middle of them. Again, they're going to have to go outside or over top of them.
Well, power I formation. This time the blocker to the left. Wilgus on a keeper. Great play in there by number 51 for Toms River East, Mark Schiavo, and he drops Wilgus for, I guess, a little bit of a loss, taking it back to the 5-yard line. Let's see that one again. That was a great defensive effort by Mark Schiavo. You'll see him burst through there. Wilgus is trying to pick up on his blockers over there. There's Schiavo coming up with a key defensive play here late in the ball game. We've got 4 minutes and 14 seconds remaining. 6-3, St. James over Toms River East.
Win or lose this football game, or whether St. James scores here or not, let me say one thing. This Toms River East football team has character. They don't give up.
Split backs behind Wilgus. Cassidy wide right. You're looking for that end across the middle, and there's a lot of pressure being put on a quarterback, led by number 47, Chris Schiavo, but there's a flag down on the field. Jimmy Verderosa also in on that defensive effort, and the penalty is going to be against St. James. Let's see what happens here. It was a third down situation. It might be holding, but the flag was thrown down by the goal line. It is holding against St. James, declined. They will take the loss on the play. That ball is going to be placed just inside the 15-yard line, where St. James will have one more shot at it. Let's see if they've got a field goal kicker, because this 3 points could ice it more or less for St. James, Ken.
Well, if they got another 3 points on the scoreboard, then that would make a touchdown and a conversion necessary in order to win. Where if they don't score here, hey, at least you can tie the football game with a field goal, with the score still being 6-3. But from what I saw of their conversion, unless it was just a fluke, I don't know if they have that kind of a field goal kicker.
Well, the man who handles their field goal and placement kicks is Bob Walters. Bob is number 77 and just a sophomore out there. And he's on the football field. He's lined up in that offensive backfield. There you see a shot of Eddie Sarluca talking to his defensive unit, talking over the fine points. There's a concerned George Jeck on the sidelines. Sarluca leaves the field. There you see him over to the right side of your screen. St. James will set up for the field goal attempt. Gatanis will hold. Flamini will snap. Walters has it. The placement, a good kick, and it's good for 3 points. That makes it score 9-3 in favor of St. James with 3:40 remaining in the ball game.
3:40 remaining, as you put, which means right now Toms River East have to think in terms of a touchdown to tie the game, conversion to win the football game. That's the only way out. And when they get their hands on the football, field position is going to be very, very important, because they're going to be fighting the clock. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. You like to play your game plan. You don't like to make it that you have to throw the football. You want to have enough time that if you want to run it and run inside and let the clock run, you can do so. And 3 minutes and 40 seconds, the field position that Toms River East starts off with is going to be extremely important.
Well, the deep receivers for Toms River East will be Jim McIntyre, number 30, and number 24, Vince Gearity. It's very critical for Toms River East to return the ball a couple of yards anyway, so they're not starting out from an extremely bad field position. Walters, who just converted on that field goal, there you see him very happy, justifiably so. Number 77 will try to put the ball deep into Toms River East territory. Gets a short kick. It'll be handled by Slevin, number 42, who chooses to run it right up the middle. Slevin breaks to the right, and he takes it out to just short of the 35-yard line. Joe Slevin wisely maintains control of the ball. Toms River East not in bad shape here. They're 65 yards away from pay dirt with 3:35 remaining in the football game, but the field position is not bad for East.
No, it's not. What they have to do, though, is give their quarterback protection. They've shown sometimes when they do, other times they have a hard time with, especially Newton. That kid's tough, and they're going to have to block him.
Newton, Zappala, Scott, Flamini on that defensive line. Handoff goes to McIntyre. McIntyre skirts through there for a pickup of 7 yards. Newton in on a tackle, along with 55 Vince Shoppy. Good gainer on the play for Toms River East. Let's call it closer to 8 yards.
Second and about 2.
2nd and 2 to go for the first. Machiarelli leads out the offensive unit for East. Wing right formation, split backs behind Arminio. First down for Toms River East. Running the ball very, very effectively is Sal Chiarella, number 21, coming from that wing back spot, bringing the ball just short of the midfield stripe.
2 minutes and 31 seconds left to play in the football game. 50 yards from tying the football game up. This is going right down to the wire, it looks like, Stosh.
A good pickup of 7 yards on the last play. This time we'll see Amir in a slot right. Slevin, Arminio's favorite receiver, out to the right. Draw play goes to McIntyre, shifts the ball to his left hand, looks down the sideline, stopping the clock, being pushed out of bounds by Horner, but not before a pickup of, let's call it, 8 yards. Good run by Jimmy McIntyre, who's done a very, very effective job offensively and defensively for the Raiders today.
What Jimmy did there, which I really liked, is he picked up as much yardage as he possibly could and then made sure he was going to be tackled out of bounds to stop that clock. Very good run. He picked up 8 yards. Showed some real good speed out there, Stosh.
Second down and about 1.
East driving. 2nd and 1. Amir, wing right. Slevin, tight end to the left. Split backs behind Arminio. Quick pitch to the left. Throws it behind Chevrier. Chevrier comes up close to a first down. Let's see where they spot it. I see the 3rd down signal being given. About half a yard to go for the first. The pitch was a little bit behind Chevrier. Couldn't get his full momentum up before turning the corner. Verderosa, end to the right. Chiarella, wing right. Arminio rolls to his right. Tucks it in. Got the first down. Dropped in there by Cassidy and Shoppy. Got himself a first down on the play, though.
Yes, 1 minute and 32 seconds left. He did what he had to do, get the first down. And as I said, it's going down to the wire. They are running out of time. They're moving the ball well. As everybody knows, as you get closer to the end zone, it takes a little bit more of an effort to move the ball. There's less room to work with. And there's a timeout on the field right now. And Stosh, if you were sitting there and had the responsibility of deciding how to get your team in the end zone after watching this Toms River East team play for some 3 quarters and a half, what would you do?
Well, George Jeck's offense so far has moved the ball very, very effectively for about 25 yards. He's got the clock to fight right now. He's going to have to put the ball up, trying to stop the clock by virtue of whatever incomplete passes that may occur. He's probably going to if he sends his receivers over the middle, he's going to use up his timeouts, which I believe he has 2 remaining. This is also a possibility. It's not going to be uncalled for. If his receivers go to the outside, he's going to tell them, if you catch the ball, pick up as much yardage as you can, head for the sidelines when you realize that you're about to be tackled. He's got to keep control of the ball. He's got to fight the clock. This is a twofold job for the Toms River East Raiders right now. Fine performance on the part of the cheerleading staff here. The Toms River East fans are standing in anticipation of this final drive. Arminio sends his wing back to the right. 4 deep backs for St. James in the prevent situation. McIntyre gets the pitch, runs it to the outside, looks for the sideline, picks up yardage, crosses the 35-yard line, steps out of bounds, stopping the clock. A pickup of about, let's call it 7 yards on the play, making it 2nd down, 3 to go for the Raiders. Amir into the ball game, replacing Chiarella. Bringing the play in for Arminio. Machiarelli out of the huddle. Amir will be the wing back to the right. Chevrier and McIntyre the running backs. McIntyre gets the call, looks to the outside, gets dumped at about the 30-yard line. Close to a 1st down. Time is called on the field. Let's see if he's got the first. Its ball is just short of the 30-yard line. It is 3rd down. 3.5 yards to go. 1:20 remaining in the football game. Slevin end to the left. Verderosa tight end to the right. Wing back Amir to the left. Split backs. Arminio barks his call. Reverse inside to Amir. Amir got the 1st down. Stumbles toward the 25-yard line. Good play. Double scissors on that one, Kenny.
Yeah, very interesting play, Stosh. The clock running just stopped at 1 minute and 14 seconds. And on that reverse, as you said, double scissors. Stanley, 25 yards, 20 yards away are we now? 25 yards away, 1 minute. Like I said, right down to the wire. And let's see what happens.
This time we've got a slot right formation. Chiarella, slot man, split backs behind Arminio. Pitch goes to Garrity. Garrity being strung out. Virtually no gain. Let's call it half a yard. Met over there by the entire St. James football team, led by co-captain Mike Horner, number 22, and Rich Newton, number 64.
Stosh, they're calling another timeout. I don't know whether they have any left or not, but good defense that time. Good pursuit by St. James, getting and stringing that play out. Right now, you're getting into a situation where you're going to have to start throwing the ball because the incomplete pass is going to stop the clock. And complete 1 out of 3 near a sideline, you can start moving the ball with only 47 seconds left on the clock. But if they continue running the ball like that, they're just going to lose the football game because they can't stop the clock. Even if they can stop it one more time, that's not enough.
Well, Tom's River East is a gutsy ball club. They know how to play the game. Their only single shortcoming, as far as I'm concerned, is maybe a little bit of lack of speed on the offensive backfield. They can't break it wide and fast to the outside for those big gainers, or even to run it outside in order to stop the clock in this particular phase of the football game. George Jeck leaves the field, leaves his offensive unit out there, gives them a couple words of encouragement, tells them to keep them feet moving out there, keep the offense going. St. James's head coach, Rich Gatana, leaving the field on the opposite side there. There you see a good shot of his defensive unit. They've played an exciting football game today. The score, 9-3 in favor of St. James. Slevin breaks out of the huddle, goes wide to the right. Amir will be the tight slot back to the right side. Slevin is going to be covered on the outside there by Frank Thorpe. Arminio looks, pressure, dropped by number 51, Flamia. With the rush there was Zappola, number 76, and Dennis Scott, number 66. Arminio looked up, trying to hit a quick receiver in there, but the clock is moving. We've got a 3rd and 7 situation for the Raiders. They've got to stop the clock. They've got 2 plays to keep this drive alive. Machiarelli breaks it out. 20 seconds remaining in the football game. Slevin, wide receiver to the right. Amir, tight wing back to the right. Arminio calls signals. Drops straight back. Decent protection. Lofts the ball toward the goal line. In and out of the hands of Slevin, but he was beyond the end line. Good coverage out there by Frank Thorpe, senior cornerback out there for St. James. The clock has 8 seconds remaining on it. Slevin was his receiver all the way.
Stosh, as you said, it was out of the end zone anyway. It doesn't matter, but it does stop the clock. What I found interesting is that they brought a play in from the sidelines that took about an extra 7 seconds. But at any rate, at this point, they probably could get 2 more plays off.
There you see Slevin across the end line, covered by Thorpe. And he was the receiver all the way. Just run out of room over there. off his fingertips as the ball went. Another timeout, their final timeout being called in this football game for the offensive unit of Toms River East. They got to put it up in the end zone. They can't afford the luxury of a short pass. They've got to loft it up there, try either to make the completion or get a call on a penalty.
Stosh, this football game has been brought to you by the First National Bank of Toms River with 22 branches and routes in Ocean County. The House of Paneling on Route 9 in Bayville. Carter Rug Sales and Service 1 mile east of the Laurelton Circle in Bricktown on Route 88. Office Copy Center, Old Freehold Road, Toms River. Lowry Oregon Center in the Ocean County Mall, Toms River. Bayshore Electric, they're on Beach Avenue in Beechwood. Wallach Sport and Leisure Center, Route 37 West in Toms River. And Perkins Pancake and Steakhouse, Route 37 East, Toms River.
All right, thank you, Ken. There we see the stage being set for the final, or what appears to be the final play of this football game. St. James has strictly a prevent defense up there. They got 4 deep backs, and Horner playing very loosely on the corner along with Shoppy. Newton dropped way back from his inside linebacker spot. Arminio dropped straight back. He's got time, looks downfield, lost the ball in the corner. Belted around here by Ferretti. Intended receiver on the place was Vince Gearity. There's 1 second remaining on the clock, but that was the final play in the offensive arsenal for Toms River East, and St. James takes over on downs. So we had an exciting football game here, Ken.
Yeah, it was a very good football game. Toms River East, as I said in the beginning of the fourth quarter, appeared to be at any time getting ready to break loose and win the football game. And then all of a sudden, St. James warmed down, got that 1 touchdown in there at the end, the field goal, at the end, and that kind of did it. Because right now, another couple yards, and really, they would be in field goal position if that was the situation.
All right, that looks like the final play of the ball game. Wilgus falls on it, and there we have a good football game in our CTC game of the week. St. James raised its record to 3-1. Toms River East right now is 1 victory, 2 defeats. And a well-played football game on all parts. There you see the final score, 6-3 in favor of the visiting team, St. James. Toms River East, home debut, spoiled here, but they have nothing to be ashamed of. They're a growing football team, and we'll see a lot of good football action from them in the future.
I find it interesting that St. James didn't make the mistake Joe Pisarcik did last year and hand off the football with 1 second left on the clock. But at any rate, Stosh, I'm quite impressed at the program that Toms River East has put together. I think that we're going to hear a lot from them.